What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, everybody. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Hi, Sister Foxx.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Dr. Pastor Rod.
Awesome to see you again.
You too. Hey, Cyril.
How are you?
I'm well. Oh my God. What's up, Pat? Okay, so y'all just don't understand how excited I am about tonight. Welcome, fam. Welcome, fam. The people you have on the mic tonight mean so much to me because they just mean so much to me. They were very instrumental. And Cyril, I don't even think you know the impact you had on me in college. But yeah. So and Pastor Rod and Sister Minister Denise. Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, tonight, guys, we're doing something a little different. We have a panel discussion tonight, and it's all on spiritual wellness. October is we just said this was our wellness reset month. And so we've been bringing you guys topics about everything that has to do with wellness, and spiritual wellness is important. So, Cyril, introduce yourself to our family.
My name is Cyril Guerra. I'm hail from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been in ministry for 26 years now, and I'm also the host of the Trifin Ones podcast.
Welcome. Glad you are with us
Good to
tonight.
be here.
And Sister Foxx, Minister.
Well, I'm Denise Foxx. I am a native Marshall, Texas, a small town in East Texas, where I'm residing again. Oh gosh, I've been in ministry most of my adult life and served on a staff with Pastor Rod for about 15 years, but at the same church for 40 years.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, Pastor Rod.
Well, I've had the privilege of again serving with Sister Foxx on staff. I was brought on staff at church by Pastor Bailey. I've never been mentored in all my life with somebody that was so intentional as Pastor Bailey was. And I'm extremely grateful. I told Adrian that the answer is always yes. Anytime I can give back, as God's blessed me so much. Right now, I'm in Iowa. Moved back to Iowa after our season at Concord for 20 years. I'm a pastor here at a small church filled with people I graduated with. This is before I so these people know where I came from, and they seem to change. They ask me to be in fact, we finished this meeting with no problem, which is just unheard of. So I'm grateful, and I'm grateful tonight.
So glad to have you guys with us tonight. So, Patrick, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm not sure if there's a huge echo on the line. I'm not sure if anybody else is being affected by it or if it's just me.
Hold on a second.
I wanted to make sure we address that further.
Can everybody speak?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I am a son of the church, literally born and raised. Actually, I was born on a Sunday morning. My mama was getting ready for church when she went into labor, so I was almost born in church. But presently, I serve on 2 presidiums, serve as a bishop in the Lord's church. But one of the things that I definitely do understand is that there has to be a balance between spiritual health and mental health, and it is not talked about enough in the body of Christ. I refer often to the scripture, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor. And there are some things that we suffer that needs to be counseled, and there are some things that needs to be canceled. So I definitely look forward to this panel discussion tonight.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is if you're not speaking, mute your mic, and then hopefully that'll fix it. We can't figure out where the echoes are coming from. So I just want to start out the discussion by talking about what is spiritual wellness.
Is that geared to anybody in particular? I can't hear you, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this
Yes, go ahead.
since you all can hear me. So I
Yes.
think spiritual wellness really is the decisions that we make about our lifestyle to make sure that we are spiritually healthy, and there's a lot that goes into that. But we oftentimes we focus on our physical health in many instances. And so, we're on TikTok and we're lifting weights and we're doing all the rest of that, but we don't develop the discipline in order to make sure that we are healthy from a spiritual standpoint. So I would say anything that we do that ensures our spiritual health falls into what I would call spiritual wellness.
I think that's a great insight. One of the things that I like to look at is Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 8 says, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you." And it's the word yada. It means an intimate knowledge. And I believe it's at that time that God breathes in us his spirit. We become a living being. And he tells us three things. I love you. I created you for purpose. And you're going to give an account to me what you did with that love and purpose. Now, for example, in my life, I was born to a mentally ill mother. It was very abusive, very damaging. And she messed with that yada. She messed with that knowing that. And so a dissonance built in my life, and I was spiritually unhealthy. Come to Christ, and God began to do miracles in my life, but there was still a lot of healing that I had to go through to get to that point to where I had wellness. And I'm still in the process. I'm here in Iowa. This is where I was abused. Texas was beautiful for me. It was a healing place. Concord was a great healing place. And so spiritual wellness for me has been to get back to my roots, not my birth roots, but my spiritual birth where God created me. And I'm still on that journey, trying to let the depth of that love permeate my brain, my experiences, making sure that I'm grieving out. For me, a lot of it is grieving out. I help people to be able to grieve that so we can release it, and then the Spirit can fill us with what we should have had.
And I would say for me, one of the things that I had an opportunity to do was to actually participate in two different cohorts that were focused on spiritual wellness, spiritual rhythms. And so in the first cohort I participated in, what we did was over a 2-year period, we developed our own what we call a rule of life, meaning how we know God and are known by God, and how we practice that in a way that keeps us by and large connected. And then being able to ascertain when a pivot is needed because life is changing. And then the second part of that was where I actually became a certified spiritual director, where I was able to, having done my own work, initial work, because I
Wow.
do know that it is an ongoing work. Then, as a spiritual director, I get to peep in on the conversations that others are having with God and ask those questions that help them to stay in sync. Spiritual wellness is one of those things that is my heart. It is fully my heart. I enjoy developing my own rhythms, noticing when I'm different with God, or when God is leading me somewhere else, and then getting to do that with other people, peeking in on their conversations that they are having with God is really a great journey.
In simple terms, for me, spiritual wellness is how you feel aligned, guided, at peace. It's about cultivating clarity, compassion, presence, and purpose, but all from the inside.
Mm.
Um, why spiritual wellness matters. Just imagine that your life as a house. Your body is the structure, your mind is the architecture, your emotions are the furnishings, but your spirit is the light bulbs that illuminate every space, every room. Without spiritual wellness, everything can feel empty, hollow. No matter how well you put it together, it just simply is empty. This is why, to me, cultivating your spiritual well being is essential. It doesn't replace the mental or the physical, it actually elevates it.
I wholeheartedly agree, because one of the actual sections that we studied in that initial program was your body, how your body and your spirit come together, and what are the practices that you need to be doing in your body, including what you put in your body, how you move your body or not move your body, all, all of
Wow.
that.
Is that the
And
movement,
then,
Adrian?
yes. And then, of course, that mental and emotional piece. One of the things I make clear to people when we are going to do spiritual direction is I am not a licensed therapist. But, honey, I can tell you in a New York minute if you need to see a therapist. And I will not be talking to you again until you go see them, because you're carrying some stuff. Yes, we could pray about it, but you need to see about your mental health also. So,
Wow.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I think people have a disconnect when it comes to mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. Everybody thinks that they are different, which they are, but they all work together to make you the person that you are. So you have
yes.
to be in touch mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally in order to even consider yourself in a well space. And I think one of the I wanted to touch on, like, you all focus on, it is an individual work that is an ongoing process. Like, you just don't be spiritually well. It keeps going as your life goes, and you have to pivot. I love the way you said that. You have to pivot. You have to kind of readjust. So what are some things that you guys have seen and put in practice that help to pivot and readjust?
So I just came off of a 5 month, um, I guess you could call it media fast. I completely stayed away from social media.
Wow.
Really limited my television viewing, etc., and literally went through a detox. And I went through that process going back to being in tune with where you are. And so I realized that I was stressed. I was allowing not just my own personal stuff, stuff within the family, professional stuff. Um, Even as it relates to ministry with the podcast, etc. I realized that I was stressed, number one. Number two, I realized that I was allowing everything that was happening in the world to stress me out, because I was starting to think, okay, how could they possibly think this way, or how could people do this, or what is leadership supposed to look like? So I'm allowing that to stress me out, and I realized that I had to pull back.
That's so
And
good.
so when I cut that out, I shut it down. and I went through a period where I began to feel that the toxicity of the world was just seeking out, because instead of consuming the news or all that other stuff, I was replacing that with quiet time and prayer time and more word time. And so I was beginning to rejuvenate myself. And so for me, and this is something that I also used with the children when I was a youth pastor, is I would challenge them to go a particular time frame without any type of social media, and they would act like they were like you would think I was taking crack from them, right? And I would actually have them say, contact me when you're done. But it was funny because I would say, okay, do it for 48 hours. And I would say, I need you. It ends at 5 o'clock. Shoot me a text to let me know you've done it. And they would be so relieved, but they would do it. But without fail, every last one of them would say that they felt so much better. And I know, even with me going back in, because I've only been back on social media about a week and a half now, I am very mindful about how much I'm consuming and what I'm doing. And so that's what's been helpful to me, among a whole lot of other things.
That's good.
At Concord, we had a thing that we used to do in January. Um, every January, we do the Daniel fast, and then we'd also do a media fast, just like, and I wholeheartedly agree, brother, to disconnect you from the toxicity. I get so wrapped up, I get so emotional, I get so hopeless that the situation just wears you down. And honestly, we haven't, Gabi and I, my wife and I, have not done that, but that was, you talk about reset, that was very powerful. It was a physical reset because of fasting. And so the first week we followed Daniel completely. The second week we could add something. I found out that I had a slight allergy to peanuts, but also I found out I was addicted to things. I found out I was thinking about cheating. I was thinking about, they didn't have TikTok or anything, but I video games that I like to play. There's TV shows that were heathen TV shows. They were godless. And I would catch myself lingering by at Target, or that was something, there was a TV show playing, and I would just catch myself stand there for about 30 minutes. So, bro, I wholeheartedly agree. I think we've lost the discipline of the courage and the guts it takes to do that fast. So that's something I found, that whenever I hit a wall and I'm catching myself addicted to something, where something owns me and God's taken me deeper, is I love to do a fast. Sometimes I'll do a diet fast where I'll drink solids, like beef broth, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll do just a TV fast. I'll do a video game fast. And I'm trying to be very intentional. Say, Father God, what are you saying to me here?
I think one of the practices that really helps me is retreat. And when I say that, I don't mean it's always got to be go away for a week and shut down. I mean, you can actually do a retreat for an hour. What you have to do is be intentional about what you're doing. But that rhythm of retreat for me, where I'm shutting out everything and I am focused on something. Sometimes it's I'm focused on, God, what in the world is really going on with me? Sometimes that's just it. It's like, hey, you need to straighten me out or tell me what's going on. I know that I'm disconnected, or I know that things are different, but I don't know. So that means I need to pull away and get quiet with you and listen for what you have to say to me. So that rhythm of retreat, whether that's when I'm going to do like December, where I'm going to say, okay, God, what are we doing now in this coming year? What are we doing? Or whether that's, I'm at an impasse, and I know that I know the way that I'm going to get through that impasse is to shut it down. I could be here in this house and park my car back up in my carport where people can't see that I'm here, and be in retreat here at my house, that I've shut everything out. Or I haven't been able to find it here, Pastor Rod. I don't know how to drive to the lake. Going to White Rock Lake. White Rock Lake in Dallas is my sanctuary. God has told me some of the most profound things, some of the most life-changing things out there, sitting on the grass, looking at that water. So I'm trying to learn to drive the Lake of the Pines, but I'm still just a little iffy about it because, this is country down here. And I'm like, what if I have a flat tire? And what if this? And what if that? Like, but I'm going to conquer that, y'all. I'm going to conquer that. But retreat for me is the thing, whether it's an hour, whether it's 3 days, or whether it's a silent retreat, whether I don't talk at all, and I'm just listening. I'm reading the word. I'm maybe looking at pictures that God has brought to mind, but retreat is the thing that does it for me.
To stitch from each panelist, great things. And as you see, something is common across the board, and that is shutting out the external noises. As Adrian and I, we talk often. I say often that we live in an echo chamber society, that all it takes is one person to just agree with something and people would just run with it full throttle without doing research, we just experienced that with what happened with the pastor with a gift giving that they had in their church, and somebody took a 15-second clip and it started a viral trend that has just spiraled out of control. But I agree with you, my brother, when you're saying taking on those pressures of the world. One of the things that I've learned to do before people even, when they wake up in the morning, they grab their phone before they even talk to God, before they set the tone for the day, just taking a breath, being thankful that you are alive. Another thing that I've recently gotten back into doing is journaling, writing down, especially when I'm having those days and those thoughts and don't know how to completely put them all together, but I write it down before I lose the moment. Something that others might want to consider is cleaning out your energy. What does that mean? Is there people that I need to forgive? Are there people that I need to, there's some things that I need to clear out of my life. There's some things I need to uncover and have what we would call in therapy, the shadow work, and doing the hard things and having the hard conversations. All of those things will affect. But the last thing, and I love this, and my sister, you said it best, because yes, White Rock Lake, we used to hold all our competitions that when we was kids, White Rock Lake. But walking in nature, clearing your mind, going to the beach. One thing me and my son love to do is, and we do it at night, we drive to Texas Peak to the docks, and we literally fish at night. And we go out there, and it's well lit, but we're out there and just to fish, but getting in contact with nature. Sometimes people realize you don't have to be a monk to meditate. You don't have to be like, we think that certain things belong to certain faiths or to certain, no, just simply shutting the world off, shutting away the noise, the external riots of the day. One thing that I had to do for a while was stop watching the news. Believe it or not, I was consumed with being angry about things that I cannot control. Doesn't matter who sits in the White House. Listen, what's going to happen is going to happen. And just at the end of the day, just learning how to reconnect. But one thing that really helped me was nature, reconnecting with nature. I think there's a couple of shows back where they was calling it getting grounded. Walking in the grass, sand, that just nature, serene. But these things are very powerful and they work for alignment for me.
I want to just piggyback off of something that you said when I think you referred to it as a dump. Did you call it a dump? I'm not sure the term that you used to get things out of you. But one of the other things that, especially those of us who are in ministry, that we have to be really mindful of is if we are available to people, there's a lot of stuff that's happening out there. And I've also found that I have to take what's coming in and absolutely talk to God about it, because if I don't make sure that I do that, then I find myself carrying the weight of so many different things, because all
Wow.
of us who serve in ministry, the moment people know this, that hey, and they tell you everything that's going on with them, and you find out about who passed. In the past 2 weeks, I've had two individuals with connected to children under 3 years old who've passed away. And so when
Wow.
you're dealing with those types of situations back to back, and this one's mother is not well, and this person has a biopsy, even it may not even just be the politics like we talked about, it is just the burden of everything. And so if we aren't strategic in making sure that we take that to the Lord and we drop it off there and allow the Lord to work on it on behalf of those individuals, then we could find ourselves stressing ourselves out and not being well ourselves, because we're trying to take this stuff on that we were never meant to take on, if that makes any sense.
It does.
If I could ask a question, what are some things? I grew up older, and so back in the day, you had all these gauges on your car. You were watching the temperature, RPMs, oil pressure. What are gauges in your life so that it's time for a getaway, for a immediate fast? What are things that you see that trigger in a bad place? These are signs I need to get some help, whether it's professional mental health, whether it's spiritual code. What are some red line things that you guys see that cause you to, okay, it's time for me to get some help or to do something?
I think one thing you notice right off is fatigue. When you're getting physically tired, it's time to check yourself. Well, it's time for me to check myself when I'm physically tired. I'm also, and I really have to be careful with this now because I am back again, y'all, teaching school. I'm at the middle school. I love those crazy kids.
Bless your
Um,
heart.
and so, today was one of those days we were doing this testing that I had not done before. They didn't want to take it. The group that I have to test didn't want to do. And so I was constantly talking to the Lord, like, okay, Lord, because this is not good. I am not well here, Lord. You're going to have to help me because I cannot be off with these children. They are children. I'm an adult and I'm your child. So get me together in this room, Lord. So irritability, fatigue, and physically, if you're not feeling good, if you're always catching a cold, if you're always catching what's going around in your community, that's something to think about. That's a signal. And then also, if you have those moments where you just kind of don't care about like nothing. You just I don't, I'm not interested and I don't care. That kind of thing is also a signal. And then that high, if you're like I was today, highly irritable, um, just acting in fashions that aren't pleasing, as Rubalita used to say, now the Lord is not pleased with that. If you're acting like that, it's an opportunity to check yourself. And then in seasons that just move, when you're experiencing grief, you need to pay attention to yourself. That's a time to pay attention because so many people try to soldier through grief, and that is not the way that needs to be done. So grief, the loss of anything, the loss of people, the loss of a job, the loss of a friendship, the loss of what you thought was gonna be, all of those, as I have worked with people and as I have lived my own life, I know those are times that I need to pay attention and move toward God. Um, the other thing, a checkpoint system that I use too for myself is a rhythm of worship, work, rest and play. So what do I mean? I mean, I have to start with worship. Everything begins and ends there. And that doesn't mean have I been to church. That's part of it. But the bigger part of it is have I been with God nose to nose, face to face? Because out of that time with God, out of that fullness, out of that feeling of me, then I can go and worship at church. I'm not looking crazy at people. I'm bringing worship to worship. And then out of that worship, I've been able to go to whatever work I have because I am overflowing. I'm not just full, I'm overflowing. And so I can go and work as unto the Lord. And then out of that work, I'm going to get tired. I'm tired already. Them kids done made me tired. I can't wait till Friday. Well, I don't need to keep soldiering through and bring papers home to grade because then I won't have rested and I won't have had any fun. And so I can stop at those places and ask myself, how have I worshiped? Have you worshiped nose to nose with God? Did you go to worship at your church? Did you go to worship somewhere else? Um, how is work? How are you doing at work? Uh, did the kids get the teacher that they deserve? Did your coworkers get the coworker that they deserve? Did you work as unto the Lord? And then did you rest? Did you get somewhere and sit down and enjoy a movie, enjoy a dinner that you like? Did you play? I'm single. My girlfriends are real important to me. Did you call somebody and talk to them? Or did you sit in the house talking about, woe is me, woe is me? You want to do something with your friends? You can initiate that. And so I have those checkpoints and I tell you, when I'm off, I can ask myself about those three areas and kind of pinpoint where I've gotten off kilter.
I, I'm gonna piggyback on that for a second because people ask me like the month of April, I took completely off. I didn't do a podcast. I did nothing. And everybody thought it was because I was turning 50. It was my birthday. No, I took the month of April off because there had been so much going on. And as you said, checking in with yourself, I was getting to the point where I didn't care about anything. I was really fatigued. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't rest. I couldn't turn my mind off. I couldn't do anything. So I had to go to work. So the only thing I could do was give up, the going out, give up, having a little bit of fun because I needed to reconnect and I needed the Lord to talk to me about, hey, girl, sit down. And I had to listen. And after I did that for a month, I came back recharged, refreshed. I was in direct alignment at that point with what he needed me to do, what he wanted me to do, the things that he was saying to me. So I want you guys to hear clearly that it is okay for you to take a step back. It is okay for you to get off of social media. It's gonna be there when you come back. It is okay for you to sit and rest and be still and be grounded and listen to the Most High talking to you because he has the best things to say to you. But you can't do that if you are continually listening to the noise in the negative spaces, consuming all the toxic that we get every day, day in, day out, regardless of what's going on. So thank you guys for saying that. And I just wanted everybody to understand it is okay to take a step back and just chill and be.
One thing I want to add, Adrian, and I'll just give you my top five. When I know that I was completely like, I need to literally just call for life's tow truck to pull me out of the ditch because I'm there, is one, when you are feeling constantly exhausted, even after you've had a full night's sleep. And it's like you're resting just to rest, struggling to focus, watch this, or to make healthy decisions when you're just being impulsive and just doing things that you know that you would not normally do. Experiencing mood swings and irritability. When she talked about teaching school, I remember the last year that I taught school, the office administrator said, Mr. Powell, I said, yes, Miss Campbell. She says, you didn't sign your intent to return. I said, because I don't intend on returning. She said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, but God still has ink in his pen and he's going to have to write a new chapter because I am done with education. Because I realized I would be so exhausted from dealing with kids all day that when I got home to my own kids, I were no good to them. To answer another question, to resolve another challenge, to deal with another, I just wasn't in the mood for it. So experiencing mood swings and irritability, losing interest in activities that you once enjoyed and thrived from, like things that you love to do that you don't even care to do no more. And then lastly is neglecting self-care and personal relationships. The one thing that I would challenge, and I love the way Pastor phrased this earlier, when we really begin talking about the spiritual connection, I often think about the prodigal son. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but there's two sons in this story, and both sons are significant. But the one that we know that went off to riotous living. And here is the shout of the text: when he came to himself, because he found himself desiring what the pigs eat. I want you to hear this. You know, when you know that you're bad, when you get to that place and it's still not low enough. There are some people that even when they get to the place of desiring what the hogs would desire, it still isn't low enough. That's the part that's scary for me. When being that low isn't low enough, when being that low still doesn't trigger you to, I got to shift, I got to change, I got to do something different. And so when I really begin to start thinking about my own well-being, that when you even get to the point that you're low enough to desire things that's not even palatable or digestible, and that still isn't low enough to make you shift, yeah, you've gone too far.
Wow. So we have a question from our combo family. As a Christian, how can one use mindfulness as a tool to enhance spiritual wellness? And is mindfulness the opposite of be still and know that I am God, if you will? And that comes from Sheila Carter Bass. Hey, Auntie.
So I'll go ahead and take that. So in both trainings that I did for spiritual discipline, spiritual wellness, we practice what's called centering prayer, which is a mindful kind of prayer. And it begins by, of course, inviting Jesus into the atmosphere. Of course, he's already there. We're really acknowledging him. And then we sit listening for what Jesus might, in silence, for what Jesus might say to us. I'm looking around here. I don't see it right now. But that is the way that I've been taught to practice mindfulness as a Christian. It's called centering prayer. It was practiced by the early mothers and fathers of the early church. And so And it is be still and know that I'm God. Many times when I use that, I start them by breathe in Jesus, breathe out Lord. So we know who we're being mindful of. Our
Mm.
intent is to hear from our God. That's how I would respond to that.
So when you talk about the term mindfulness, I'm assuming, and tell me if you're thinking of something differently. I'm thinking of being present in the moment or something to that effect. And so
Exactly.
when I think about that, one of the things
Yeah.
that I tend to do that goes back to spiritual wellness is I hearken back to and think about in the moment how blessed I am.
Mm-hmm.
I look at I'll look at the sky and I'll think about, man, look at how beautiful this is and how I
Mm-hmm.
get to enjoy
Mm-hmm.
this and how I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking my dog and I'm able to do so because I have a
Mm-hmm.
coworker, for example, who is in a wheelchair right now. I think about the fact that I'm able to walk without, without oxygen, an oxygen tank.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, my family is healthy. And so in that moment, there's this level of gratefulness and thankfulness that brings me back to recognizing there's some things that I might be trying to stress out about that aren't really that important. Like whatever happened on October, I think today's the 22nd of 2025 that I might be stressing about. October 22nd of 2027, I won't even remember this day. And so when I think about the mindfulness,
Come
for
on,
me,
man.
it's hearkening back to, man, God, you continue to bless and you continue to be
Mm-hmm.
good. I got some stuff that ain't right, but there's a whole lot more stuff that's right than is wrong. And the simple things, I'm able to blink my eyes without a problem so that my eyes
Mm-hmm.
don't go dry and I don't
The
go
little
blind.
thing.
Like I haven't even thought about how many times my heart has beat since I've been on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but when we talk about
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, man, God, you like it's the little things that you're
Right.
blessing me with. So
When you said that, Psalm 8 immediately came up. Lord, our Lord, how excellent, how
Is thy
majestic
name.
is your name in all the earth. You set the glory in the heavens. I mean, exactly that. But when you said that, I mean, that's exactly where I went to be mindful of that and to tag scripture with that. It's intertwined together. Great. Fabulous.
Be anxious for nothing.
Mm,
Anxiety is a reminder that you are stuck in the future and that you need to be reminded to become centered and return to the present. Mindfulness is just that. It is the present state, it's the awareness, it's the conscious of the awareness. It is that open attention to the present, observing the fact that, like he just said, like that God is being good in the moment. We hear it, but we really dismiss it. The power of Romans 8:28. He is in control, and for we know, that all things work together for good. Now, here's the thing. He didn't say it would all be good because in this life, you gonna deal with some stuff in this life. Man born of woman. Come on. Few days full of you're gonna get them, but he says for all things I'm going to make this work for your good. It gets to a place with me is it's different from believing and knowing, and I am my relationship with God is so secure. I'm beyond belief. I know God. I know what God can do. I know how God can work. I know how God can heal and restore. Everybody on this line tonight is a testament that they pronounced something on you that didn't work, that they said something over you that didn't come to pass. Somebody was given death dates that you didn't live far beyond the date that they said that you would live. I am always, come on, thank you for it. Now, I'm always mindful of his goodness toward me. For he knew the plans that he had for me. He knew the plans. I wasn't even aware of all the stuff that God had in store for me, but he knew them before I was formed in the womb of my mother, before my mama and my daddy ever met each other, before they ever played an Al Green song, before they ever played a Johnny Taylor track. I'm talking about God had already had me in his mind. He knew who I was to be. And I listen, to be truthful, if we want to do a biology moment, I fought to get here. I'll be doggone if I die in this place. I will not die a copy when I was born to be original. No, I'm going to be everything that God has designed for me to be. Y'all don't listen. Let me calm him down. Y'all don't woke something up in me. Let me shoot back. This is beautiful. I love it because every day I am mindful. I'm mindful of his thoughts toward me and the fact that I should have been dead, should have been gone, but yet he's allowed me to be here. I'm mindful of that. I reside in the present, and I'm thankful that he's allowed me to be here.
Okay, so this has been a great discussion, and I hate that we have to cut it off right now, but one parting thought from each of our panelists, and we'll start with Cyril.
I just want to say that it's at the end of the day there are two things. One, our personal walk with him, and so we've got to make sure that we cover that, making sure that we're healthy from a spiritual standpoint. But more importantly, when we do that and we take care of ourselves from a spiritual standpoint, it allows us to be able to actually move forward with the Great Commission, because we can't do anything for anybody else when we're not well. And so take care of yourself by being connected and doing those things, those practical things, talking with them, being surrounded by the right people, reading his word, but then also always being in a position to be able to pull somebody into relationship and fellowship with Christ. That's what I believe is spiritual wellness, because you're helping yourself and you're also bringing others to a place where they're spiritually healthy as well.
Sister Foxx.
Well, I would say just remember that you must give from an overflowing cup. In fact, I'm gonna say it, Pastor Rod. You want to give people the saucer and not the cup. So God gives us an overflowing cup over onto that saucer. You need to be pouring from that saucer and not from the cup, because God loves you that much. What I'd say.
Pastor Rod, I love that. I'm gonna put that. That's gonna be on my cover.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Man, I took notes. I mean, just so much rich stuff. This Ecclesiastes says there's nothing worse than an old man who no longer knows how to receive instruction. I don't want to be that man. When you said about anxiety is a distraction of the future, brother, man, that ministered to me. Thank you. I just had kidney surgery, had one of my kidneys removed.
Wow.
So I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it tonight. Praise God. I miss being in the Black community. I miss this realness, brother. I miss preaching. You were going. I was about to say, keep going, man. I'm going to jump up and start shouting. It just, my youngest son said, "Man, white church is boring. It's just boring." He's born and raised at Concord. I would say, I asked Pastor McKissick in Arlington, I said, what would you give advice would you give to a young man in the ministry? He said, know how to get a prayer through. Make sure your relationship with God is based upon where your feet are on the ground. And somebody said this too, about make sure you forgive. Make sure it's a forgiveness from your bones, not just from your head. Sometimes I forgive, I just say I'm forgetting, but then it rots in me. And then Denise, I think you just said the same thing, that make sure your relationships are rich and you're surrounded by people, at least a few people that are going to call out your stink. There's nothing worse than when people begin to fear you, respect you, and they put you on a false pedestal and they're not honest with you. And so Sister Foxx is a very dear friend. I know that if I called her, I know she's going to be honest. She talked about Rubalita was our secretary, and Ruby was 100% brutally honest, and we love her for it. The Lord took her home. So those would be the things that I would have to say.
Pat?
I want to leave you with this parting thought that your body hears everything that your mind says. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. Your mental health is a priority. Your happiness is essential. Self-care is a necessity. Be kind to your mind. It is the only one you have. Guard it. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you believe, and you are more capable than you can imagine. It is okay not to be okay. Ask for help if you need it, because mental health is not a destination. It is a journey.
Ooh, I'm elated that all of you guys made time to come and join us tonight. And when I sent out the invitations, I was hoping who would say yes, and I got my wish. My prayer was answered, and who said yes. And I'm really, really tickled that y'all love me enough to show up. So thank you. I'm very appreciative. And again, you guys mean the world to me. My takeaway from tonight, to everybody who's listening, anybody who watches the rebroadcast that'll be live tonight on Facebook and YouTube, be mindful of where you are mentally, physically, emotionally, but most of all spiritually, because where you are spiritually helps catapult the other things. If you do not have a relationship with God,
We invite you.
everything else is going to feel 10 to 100 times worse. But when you know whose you are and who you are in whose you are, it makes things more palatable. It gives you strength when you don't have strength. It gives you insight when you're confused. It gives you peace in the middle of any storm. Ask me how I know, because I am a living, walking testimony and a message. So if y'all don't remember nothing else, get yourselves right with God. Have your one-on-one time with God. Have your relationship with God. So everything else falls into place. With that being said, thank you guys. I really love you guys for coming. I'll be calling y'all tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you guys, and we'll see y'all next week. See, Pat, stop.
Okay.
We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Peace.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.